Lenwo Mwetnekewa, especially my Mwet Utwa. I was locked in out in Utwa, and I'll be there next Friday, March 14th, and I can't wait to come out there and be a little Nakoon fessin' with all of y'all. I can't thank everyone enough. My Facebook account is absolutely blowing up with everyone reaching out to share their excitement and support for this project. There's still a lot of questions out there, so I'm going to do a couple videos to answer some of them. One question Louis gave me was, why did I leave Mormonism? I was born into Mormonism. I grew up in a family of 10 kids in small town Texas. I was blessed with absolutely amazing parents. They wanted to give me the best way that they knew in life to move forward, and they believed that Mormonism was it, probably because they were also born into it. And as a result, at the age of 19, I was out on Koshrai as a cute little Mormon missionary. Fast forward a few years to 2011. At that time, I'm married to a beautiful Mormon girl. We had 5 kids together, and she was a hell of a fun, adventurous girl. Absolutely lovely wife and mother. And to the best of our ability, we lived by the Book of Mormon, and whatever other books we could figure out to try to make the best lives possible. In 2011, though, I was also deployed to Afghanistan. At the time, I was a young captain. I was running the intelligence shop for 389 Cavalry Squadron in Wardak Province, just 30 clicks west of the capital, Kabul. One day, some of our guys pop some Taliban dudes. They grab what intel they can off of them, including their cell phones, and bring it all into my intel shop. On one of those phones is a video that to this day is one of the most disturbing videos I'd ever seen. It was grainy, low quality, but clear enough to see what was happening. It was a village not too far from the base. And it was a Taliban controlled village. Well, everything out there was Taliban controlled. The village had gathered to pronounce a sentence on a little girl. She looked like maybe 10 to 12 years old. And what was her crime? It was simply she got caught walking alone with a boy. So now her purity was called into question. So the sentence was stoning. And after they pronounced the sentence, all the boys from the village, like the 10 to 15-year-old boys, they all start chucking rocks at her. And she takes some hits and she curls up on the ground. And she's crying and screaming. But these boys aren't big and strong enough to do any fatal damage. It's just miserable watching her get hit. But eventually the village elder, the main Taliban leader, he takes a big rock and just finishes the job. And it was absolutely disgusting. I've seen a lot of violence in my life, but this one turned my stomach and made me sick. The murder itself was horrific, but the most disturbing part of the video to me was not the act itself. It was that all throughout the stoning, the whole village is standing around cheering and screaming, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. And when the final blow was delivered, everyone cheered even louder, Allahu Akbar. I'm not here to demonize Islam. I'll bet there are 2 billion Muslims out there in the world who would have been just as horrified as I was to see that video. In fact, it's kind of the opposite. I wish I could help in some way. As I thought about this over the next few weeks, though, it seemed to me like a simple conclusion that no amount of guns or bombs are ever going to fix this problem. In all likelihood, it would only reinforce the problem. The people of that village were simply executing the programming that they had been raised with. They fully believed that they were doing a service to God. They believed they were good people. And a short time later, I saw news reports of people being hung in Kabul because they left Islam and converted to Christianity. So this isn't just some one-off. It was an accepted practice, a deeply ingrained belief that their society strongly reinforces. And I realized that I do not understand these people at all, but I needed to. The core of this problem is both simple and complex. Simply put, they need to re-examine their belief sets and thought processes. The complex problem comes from our base human nature. We are wired for survival above all else. A few days after that stoning video, I realized that had I been born into that village, I would have been one of those boys throwing rocks. And you, Lue, would have been one of those girls cheering me on, screaming Allahu Akbar. You would never be that girl, and I would never be that guy in who we are now. But had we lived in that environment, it would be very normal and natural. And both of us would fully believe that we're doing the right thing. And if those damn Yankees come in and try to stop us, we will defend our culture and our way of life to the death. They have to stay true to their tribal culture. In that environment, anyone who questions the authority is simply eliminated. End of story. No more debate. The message received by everyone is simple. Stay in line, fit in, don't be Nakoon Fessin. It then made me begin to reflect on my own upbringing as Mormon. What elements of that faith and culture had I just accepted into my life as normal because that's what I was familiar with? Now, in general, Mormons are really nice people. They certainly don't run around stoning little girls. I've known some absolutely amazing people in my life, including my own parents. In fact, my guess is that more than 99% of all humanity still very closely aligns with the faith and cultural belief sets that they were raised in. Our egos drive all of us to believe that we are unique and different, that we're better than those people in the Afghan village. But the reality is that we are also as human as they are and make the same types of mistakes within our own cultures. Every culture on the planet has a variety of pros and cons to it. The yin yang paradox that Louie mentioned in her question to me. I left the Army in 2017 after I failed to promote. At the time, the most lucrative prospect for me would have been to go back into the defense industry and be some corporate salesman selling weapons and training to Middle Eastern governments. But by the time I got out, I had had enough, and I was no longer interested in supplying oppressive assholes with guns and bombs. I wanted to help people identify and question belief sets, thought patterns that were manipulative and destructive within themselves and their communities. After the Army, I took a year off and I wrote 2 movies addressing some of the negative cultural aspects I'd seen during my years in the Army. I never sold either of them. Another failure. Hard as I tried, Hollywood nothing but closed doors to me, and it's a tough nut to crack. Oh well, I had a lot of fun doing it, and I learned a lot about myself in the process. And now I'm back for more. My goal is to better understand humanity, try new things, and share the successes and failures of those lessons with everyone who's interested. My next video will lay out my plan on Koshrai and answer more of the incoming questions. Until then, Kafao soon. Lots of love to my Mwet Koshrai and even the Mwet Utwa. I'll see y'all next week.